And we're going to turn now to the director of the White House National Economic Council, Larry Kudlow. Good to have you here.
Thank you, Margaret.
American lives changed dramatically. There is an economic impact to all of this. People are worried about paychecks and the like. I want to ask you specifically about the bill that the House has passed that would provide paid leave and other assurances. When do you expect the Senate to vote and for the president to actually sign it into law?
Well, it would be a big help. It may not be a perfect bill, but it gets done essentially what we wanted to get done. Take care of individuals, people on hourly wages, families, kids home. If your spouse is home, a lot of people may have to stay home in the weeks ahead. We want them to get paid.
Is the Senate already scheduling a vote, and will it be on the president's desk within days?
Well, I think the Senate's going to work on it tomorrow. I hate to predict that legislative calendar, but I think there's an urgency to this, something we pushed from the very beginning. You know, again, it's about helping families and middle income and blue collar type folks. They should not be penalized financially, and we don't want to force them to go outdoors when they should be indoors. So I think this would be a big plus. And yes, I think the Senate will get it done pretty rapidly.
Okay. Some big corporations already have paid leave policies,
yes,
but this bill doesn't apply to
small, medium business. That's what this is really.
If you have 500 employees and above, you're not impacted by this bill. Why? How do you guarantee that the people who fall into these categories will still be able to take leave, go home, and put food on their table and afford to do what the government's telling them to do?
Fall into which categories, Margaret? The lower category?
Well, you have, if you're 50 employees or less, you can have a hardship exemption.
That's
if you're
correct.
500 or more employees,
you qualify for you. If you're 500
if you're in that middle
or
range,
less,
you're
you
impacted.
qualify.
If you're above that, you're not
and
required.
that includes self-employed people also. It's very important. Well, look, the last word on that, we don't know yet. I mean, if larger companies get into trouble, we will be looking at the possibilities using the full powers of the federal government, which are quite substantial during an emergency declaration like this. We will be looking to helping any individuals who might get left behind or might have a danger of getting left behind. You know, in this bill, free testing, I think, is a very big thing. And I also think the food stamp additions, particularly if kids have to come home because the schools are closed down. So we have lots of ways and means to make sure nobody falls through the cracks.
The president's speaking to grocers today, I saw on the schedule. If you go into a lot of grocery stores, there are empty shelves right now. What is the supply line like? Can you guarantee people that they will be able to stay home and feed themselves?
Well, I'm going to say yes, knowing there may be some exceptions to this. I've read about some situations where this is a difficulty, but most of our supply lines are working pretty well in the domestic United States. If I may make a point, I mean, there's a huge economic challenge here. Do not get me wrong, a huge economic challenge. On the other hand, most of America is still working. There's a good story in the Journal yesterday about this. Factories are not shutting down across the country, at least not yet. The employment story, which may become more tenuous in the weeks ahead, I understand that. Nonetheless, a lot of CEOs I talk to, they're doing everything they can. I just talked to somebody, CEO of a big car company, not to lay off anybody.
Do you have projections on possible layoffs? What is the White House preparing for?
I'm not going to put numbers out this morning. I would just say
have one.
We're looking at everything right now as best we can. You know, so much of this, because of the unusual nature of this virus, so much of this is new. It's very hard to model stuff you don't have much experience with. We're going, in my view, we go day by day, fact by fact, report by report, phone call by phone call. But I do want to make this point. Across the board, in order to assist, I call it fiscal assistance, in order to assist individuals and families in small business, we put on the board $400 billion already. And that includes the paid family leave that you're talking about before. It also includes small business assistance, a very large, significant sum. It also includes deferred tax payments with no interest penalties.
What about the travel-related industries? Are you looking at a bailout for airlines, like loan guarantees?
Before I get to the bailout, I also want to mention some other important areas here. President is going to, by executive order, I reckon, we will defer the interest on student loans for the
Right.
rest of the year. Also, because of the mishmash between Saudi Arabia and Russia, who want to put our energy people out of business, they never will, we are purchasing
for the-
75 million barrels from the Strategic
Right.
Petroleum
But you
Reserve.
said, I just want to clarify, you used the word bailout.
No, I did
What
not.
what is it that you were preparing to do for the travel-related industries? Is it loan guarantees? Can airlines plan on that?
It could be. Look, we're talking to the airlines. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin's deeply involved. We talk every day.
Yeah.
We're going to go up to the Hill this week. We will have a number of new proposals with respect to the airlines. We've got issues on cruise ships. We've got issues on the whole leisure story. But I just feel, look, this is a story that will be very challenging in the short run. But Margaret, this is not a story of years. This is a story of weeks and months.
Okay.
We come in strong economies by all accounts.
Yes.
And I think by the end of this year, we will be back to a strong economy. But we're taking these fiscal assistance measures just to make sure. And please,
Yes.
I don't want to leave out, the president strongly supports the payroll tax holiday, which would be
Which is not in this
enormous
bill, but we'll
benefit
talk.
to
Okay.
middle class and blue collar workers. It
Well,
would
we'll
be
have to
enormous
see.
benefit.
We'll look for you to put that to Congress. It's not in the current bill. We have to leave it there. When we come back, the CEO of Bank of America, Brian Moynihan, will join us.